Good afternoon, everyone. While it is 12:40, we still have a number of folks joining us, so we're going to wait just a minute or two before we proceed. I think I'm known for starting on time out of respect for the folks that showed up on time. So I think we're going to go ahead and get started. In the event we haven't had the opportunity to meet, my name is David Wayne Kuhn, and I am the Superintendent President here at the College of Marin, where I've been for nearly 12 years. And for the past 18 years, I've been a college president, and I've had regular forums with the community, with students and employees. And it wasn't until the pandemic that I actually started doing these live via Zoom, and obviously find out that there's so many more people that are able to join this way. So we're going to continue in this format when I do my forums. But a special welcome to all of our students and employees that are joining us. I want to give a shout out to the group that's in the cafeteria, currently enjoying World Wraps. I'm jealous. I wish I were there with you. We have a series of updates to provide today, and then we'll have a special presentation, then we'll go to some Q&A. It's typically how we roll here. But recognizing we're in the fifth week of the classes, I would say that the semester has gotten off to a successful start. You all know we had a couple bumps along the way. First day of semester, of course, we had problems with the portal, and so students weren't able to get registered right away, and we weren't able to get aid distributed like we wanted to. But thanks to our IT team, it wasn't something that was a local problem. This was a problem that was across the country with this vendor that we use for our portal. But thanks to our expert IT team, they got together and figured it out and helped us figure out some workarounds within a relatively short period of time, so we were able to get back into business. We also had a period of extreme heat. I don't need to tell you that. Record heats that we've not experienced in this area in ever, possibly, at least in a very, very long time. And I will say that this morning I had a meeting earlier with folks to debrief how we handled our response to the extreme heat. And I'm here to report that we didn't get it as right as we wanted to, excuse me. But we're going to work to get it better the next time. Just as we did the first time we had extreme smoke, we got together afterwards and debriefed and came up with a plan that made our response the next time all that much better. I'll also be sending out a communication to the campus community on what we got right, what we didn't get right, and how we're going to proceed going forward so we can make it better. I want to thank everybody for your patience as we've transitioned to a new parking permit system. And I know that we have several thousand people that have already signed up for the new parking permits via our new system. So thank you for that. But overall, I've got to tell you that even though we came back last year in person February 7th, it finally feels like we're back, right? It really feels like we're back. And that's because we have so many students and employees back on campus. And toward that end, I'd like to ask Vice President Eldridge to give us a little bit of a report on how our enrollment is for this particular semester. John?
Great, thank you. And thanks everyone for joining today. So we usually look at fall enrollment in relation to the previous fall enrollment. So, and we break it out by our credit enrollment as well as our non-credit enrollment, which is largely made up of our ESL courses with some other non-credit enrollment mixed in. This year, we are basically flat. We're within a couple of students of where we were last fall in our credit enrollment. And that doesn't sound like great news, but it's actually very good news in relation to our previous fall semesters. So last fall, we were down about 8% over the previous fall, which we were down about 8% over the previous fall, et cetera. So we had seen several years, primarily through the pandemic and because of the pandemic, of declining enrollment. That has now stopped in the credit side, which is good. And I'll talk later on about some things we can do collectively, as well as some targeted efforts that we're making through our outreach office and others to increase that enrollment. So to not only stop the decline, but then to get that going back. Now, interestingly, while we have the same enrollment as last fall, our FTES, or our full-time equivalent students, are up 3.4%. What that really means is that the students we have taking credit classes are taking at least marginally more units than they were last year at this time. And that can be for a variety of factors that we will work to better understand as we survey students in the fall and beyond. Now, on the non-credit side, if you remember, our non-credit enrollment took a dramatic hit at the start of the pandemic and then started to level off last spring. But we're up almost 26% in our non-credit enrollment over the same period of last year, so from last fall. And that's really good news. So we've regained more than half of the losses in non-credit, and we anticipate that we'll continue to be able to grow that back toward where we were pre-pandemic. And then the last thing I'll say on fall enrollment is that when you add up all of our enrollment, so our unduplicated head count of all the business we do, credit, non-credit mixed together, we're actually up 3.8%. So almost 4% increase over last fall from where we were. So that's a very good trend. Although it is modest and we still have significantly fewer students now than we did 3 years ago, we're at least heading in the right direction now as we look to spring semester and beyond. So that's the fall semester enrollment update as of First Census, and I'll be happy to talk at a later point about where we head from here.
Thank you, Dr. Eldridge. And I just want to say to the students, thank you for choosing us. And for those that have been with us in the past, thank you for sticking with us. We recognize that the past couple of years has not been easy. And so we're so pleased that you're with us, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure that you attain your educational goals here. I want to give a shout out to ASCOM and congratulate them on the success of Welcome Week. A lot of activities going on all around campus. And Club Fest itself attracted over 400 students, which took place right outside my office here. And it was great to see so much activity for those days. So as far as upcoming events, I'm reminded to ask you to look for posters around campus for things that are going to be happening. And I really encourage you to get involved, because being involved is one way to help ensure that you're going to be successful while you're here with us. Our learning communities are underway with various activities planned. We get to hear more about Umoja's collaboration with the library for the 1619 project here in a bit. And there's a variety of things happening through the student activities and advocacy office. I am going to remind you that the LGBTQ+ QT Pie Cafe meets weekly on Wednesdays during Comm Hour in the Redwood Grove, which is just outside the Fine Arts Building. It's a beautiful area to meet over there. I know they had a picnic not too long ago, a barbecue, maybe picnic, I think it was, but sorry, I wasn't able to join them. And then the Woman of Color Cafe will next meet on September 28th. It meets monthly during Comm Hour as well. So again, watch for posters for both the Cutie Pie group as well as the Women of Color Cafe. Lots going on, always lots going on campus. Drama productions, we've got the Everything performance is coming up on September 30th, which I believe is the opening night. There's a faculty recital coming up in music on September 30th and October 1st. And I understand space is limited there, so make sure you sign up for that if you're interested. We have some amazingly talented faculty as musicians and as teachers. And I know I certainly look forward to seeing the concert and to enjoying the drama production. Other things going on campus, there's obviously athletic events and competitions going on over at the Diamond Physical Education Center. Lots of stuff happening across campus. I did want to point out to you, especially for those students that are over in the cafeteria watching, things have changed over there in the student services building. There's things that have moved out and things that have moved in. And I would know I was over there not too long ago and had to ask for directions because things had moved. But I do want to tell you and remind you that enrollment services, financial aid, community education and programs, and outreach/community partnerships are no longer in that building, but they're in the Welcome Center across the street, and that's on College Avenue. It's a beautiful building. The great thing about it is you can go in and do your business there and park. Short-term parking is available. You pull in, run in the building, get your fees paid or get enrolled or whatever business you need to do there, take care of financial aid. That's right there. And I know that the folks there are very welcoming. Thus, it's called the Welcome Center. So go over and meet folks and check that space out. I also want to encourage everyone, students and employees, to get involved in our participatory governance system process, our committees, the variety of different committees to get involved in. And we're always looking for staff and faculty and students to participate in those committees, as well as help us with our hiring processes. We like to involve all kinds of folks in our hiring of different positions on campus. For employees, I would remind you that our community and practice, this is the College of Marin's IDEA Committee, had first fall 2022 community and practice. That's reflecting on race and engaging in anti-racism. That happened this past Monday. The series brings us together in community with common employees or identified racial affinity space to support, engage, and heal with each other in reflection, dialogue, and practice. And we cultivate racial identity affinity spaces that center Black healing and solidarity and anti-racist practices. So I want to just say to you, if you haven't been involved in the past, you can get involved this year. You don't need to be a person that's been involved in the past. So contact Equity and Activities Program Coordinator T. Perales for more information. So with that, I'm going to take a brief pause here, and I'm going to introduce Dave Patterson and Sarah Fry, who are two of our illustrious librarians, and they're going to talk about the 1619 project. So let's welcome Dave and Sarah. I can hear the thunderous applause out there, guys. Take it away.
Thank you for inviting us, Dr. Kuhn. It's great to be here with everyone. We thought we'd start with a brief introduction to Common Read. This will be a year-long festival celebrating anti-racism and anti-censorship, and we hope that everyone will participate.
This is the 4th time we've done Common Read in the last 10 years, and it's the first time we've done it as a collaboration. We're very excited to be partnering with Umoja on this festival to highlight the history and contributions of Black Americans.
We'll take a moment to introduce the book for anyone who isn't familiar. The 1619 Project is an ongoing initiative from the New York Times Magazine that began in August 2019, marking the 400th anniversary of the beginning of American slavery. The book aims to reframe the country's history by placing the consequences of slavery and the contributions of Black Americans at the very center of our national narrative. The author, Nicole Hannah-Jones, was awarded the 2020 Pulitzer Prize for commentary for the 1619 Project.
Today, the 1619 Project faces continued racist backlash. Texas and Florida have already banned the 1619 Project, and politicians in 7 other states are attempting to ban the book in schools. Since January of 2021, Republican state legislators have introduced nearly 200 bills in 40 states that would ban critical race theory, according to the data compiled by the nonprofit organization PEN America.
Related to these efforts, there has been an overall increase in book banning in the last year. In addition to the 1619 Project, librarians have faced challenges to books by and about African American, Latinx, and LGBTQ populations, including Genderqueer by Maya Kobabe and Lawn Boy by Jonathan Evison. Both banned or challenged because they were considered to be sexually explicit.
You may look at this book and think, I don't have time to read it. It's 493 pages. Good news, each chapter stands alone, examining key aspects of decades and centuries of racism. In fact, each chapter is made up of essays, fiction, poetry, and photography, which also stand alone.
Topics include democracy, sugar, fear, capitalism, citizenship, self-defense, punishment, inheritance, medicine, church, music, and healthcare, to name a few.
Together, these paint a picture of how systemic racism impacts all aspects of life in 2022. Reading these topics may not be easy, but we hope that doing so together will help us build a stronger community.
We had an official kickoff with faculty and staff at Convocation in the Jonas Center in August.
When we planned this, we thought that 600 books would be plenty. But good news, we've run out of books 3 times. As of today, we've purchased and given away 1,025 copies of the book to students, faculty, staff, and administrators. And just this past Friday, we received $5,000 from ASCOM to purchase 131 more copies.
We're proud to announce that 19 instructors are incorporating the book in their curriculum this fall across 29 classes, and more instructors are planning to incorporate the book this spring. This is the highest instructor participation rate since we started Common Read in 2014.
And this week has been our kickoff week for the whole college, including students.
So we're going to share some photos here. This is when we received our first shipment back in June. And on Monday, see Dave and ASCOM here. On Monday, which was Constitution Day, we registered voters. We partnered with ASCOM, Alpha Gamma Sigma Honor Society, the League of Women Voters of Marin County, and Canal Alliance to register students to vote and raise awareness about the midterm election on November 8th. This will be the first election for some of our students.
And then yesterday, we celebrated Banned Books Week with the world's quietest protest on the lawn outside of Fusselman Hall. We rolled out cards of banned books and spread out blankets so that everyone could read quietly on the lawn. And we helped students to get their College of Marin library card.
And missed our events? Not to worry. We have about 8 more events coming up this fall. You can join us tomorrow for our first book discussion on the preface Origins in Fusselman Hall 110 or on Zoom. And I'll show you real quickly right here. I'm on our LibGuide for the 1619 project. We were looking at the photo that says photos, or the tab that says photos. There's a tab at the top that says calendar of events. And so then you can see all of our events, and we'll circle back to this and make sure everybody has the link to this in just a moment. And if you come tomorrow to our book discussion, you might win one of these Banned Books mugs.
So we'll hold several book discussions per month. We'll have one introductory discussion in the library, followed by discussions with affinity groups that will go more in depth on how the college can be a community in practice. In these discussions, we might try to apply the ideas in 1619 to our situation here at the college and in Marin County.
At the end of September and beginning of October, performing arts instructor Erin McBride Africa will produce African-American playwright Brandon Jacobs Jenkins' play, Everybody.
Gosh, Sarah, who's invited?
Everybody.
We'll hold 2 voter research events in October to help students learn about initiatives on the ballot. One with Connor Johnston, political science instructor Yolanda Bellissimo's son, and another with the League of Women Voters of Marin County.
And stay tuned because Emoja is cooking up some wonderful speakers from around the country to join us this spring.
The dream of Common Read has always been that different people from across our college would find creative ways to engage around the book of the year. This has never happened better than this year, when we've seen so much engagement from every possible corner, and it's just September. Folks have already reached out from the Child Study Center, the dance program, ESCOM, and in multiple departments at both campuses.
So consider this your call to action.
Read,
Participate.
get involved.
Pick up a copy of the book that you can keep from the Kentfield Library in Fusselman Hall. Yay, Dr. Kuhn. Or from the IVC Library in the main building while supplies last.
And check out our Common Read 1619 LibGuide for online resources and a calendar of events.
And now we'll take questions from the chat.
We did receive one question ahead of time, and here's the question. Will you outline what full participation means for students and for teachers? And what can instructors offer students for full participation?
Well, we think full participation will mean something different for each person. Depending on your interest and time, you might attend one event, such as our discussion tomorrow on Origins, or you might attend the play directed by Erin McBride Africa in October, or you might simply read along at home, knowing that the whole college is reading together.
Instructors can create assignments or offer extra credit for attending events. In fact, we hope you'll consider bringing your whole class or event, even just the first or last 10 minutes of an event.
Yesterday, Colleen Mihal, Meg Pascal, Yashika Crawford, and Wayne Cottle brought their students to our Banned Books celebration. Each class stayed for about 10 minutes. We had excellent conversations around banned books and censorship. Students interacted with each other and librarians and administrators in ways that simply aren't possible in the classroom. You could just feel a sense of community.
We're encouraging instructors to share ideas on the 1619 LibGuide. You can either share yourself, there are links to a shared document, or send to Sarah or me, and we'll post. You can also send photos, examples of student work, related resources, or anything else you want.
If you have an idea on how to participate, reach out and we'll try to help support you. For example, we're hoping to help publicize and promote a performance by instructor Dave Jones's hip hop students at some point this year.
Okay, so Nikki or whoever's monitoring the chat, are there any additional questions from the chat?
Hector has his hand raised and I've unmuted his mic.
Thank you
Hi,
so much.
Hector.
Hi, I just wanted to ask you to put in the address, the URL for the LibGuide on the chat so we can click on it and get there really quickly. I can save it, etc.
Right, good
Thank
point.
you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Hector. That's a really good point. We'll do that right now. I think you just said it.
I don't see any other questions at this point. There it is. Any other hands that you see, Mickey?
Just to say the chat was disabled.
Oh,
Oh, okay. Thank you for that. I don't,
maybe we could share this. Well,
Yeah, I can, would it be okay if I share the screen and show folks how to get there?
that'd be great.
So I'm on our College of Marin Library homepage. To get to the library homepage, you can start at College of Marin. And in that, let's see, to make my screen a little wider. When you see this big menu that opens up, library is halfway down underneath students. And you're going to see right on our library homepage, probably throughout the year, this image of the cover of the book. And so you can click there and there's a link to the book or link to the LibGuide. And once you're on the LibGuide, we've got all kinds of information here. Just an introduction to our Common Read, our calendar of events, ways you can get flex credit throughout the year. Before convocation, we collected reflections from instructors who were just starting to read the book, and we put those all here anonymously. There are instructors' guides, more information about Emoja, Nicole Hannah-Jones, ways to get access to the New York Times Magazine and the podcast, ways to do research, and then we'll have information also about the drama production here and our photos. And the URL's easy, it's libguides.marin.edu/1619.
well, great. Thank you, Dr. Kuhn. We really appreciate this
Thank
opportunity.
you both very much. Let's give them a big virtual round of applause. Great work, you guys. And again, who's invited?
Everybody.
Thanks, you guys. That was great. Okay, we're going to move into some Q&A, and we've got a few questions that came to us ahead of time, and I've asked Vice President Eldridge to answer the first one, and as he alluded to earlier when he was talking about enrollment, this has to do with enrollment. It's quite a long question, but Dr. Eldridge?
Great, thank you. Yeah, so here's the question that came in, and it says, it reads, please level with us. Student numbers are clearly down. Some classes have very low enrollment. There are no doubt several sources for this situation. Clearly, one source is fewer 18-year-olds coming up. The numbers aren't there and aren't projected to be there anytime soon. This problem is happening nationwide because it's about the raw fact of demographics, birth rates, family size, delayed marriage, etc. How does COM propose to deal with dwindling student numbers? Reduce course offerings, adjust class size minimums to reflect the lower numbers of potential traditional age students. This is a very large gorilla in the room that no one seems to want to engage with publicly. Administrators may whisper about what we do, but the conversations aren't public. Please level with us about how bad the numbers are and what COM intends to do with it. Well, I'll start by saying I feel bad if the perception is that these are not conversations that are happening. And I'll remind folks, I apologize for those who are at convocation because a little bit of what I'm going to say is the same in my enrollment report at convocation. And yes, there's a larger context here. And that is that over time, college-going population across the country will continue to go down. after a brief increase over the next 2 to 4 years. So our numbers are actually trending similar to what the projections were. We've leveled off, we're starting to increase, we'll probably increase a bit over the next few years before then demographics work against us and every other college out there. So we're not going to ever get back to, at least in the short term, our enrollment high points of a number of years ago, because there are too many things that we don't have control over that will keep that from happening. That said, there are a fair number of things we can do to make sure that we capture as much enrollment as we possibly can. And College of Marin isn't going anywhere. We are Marin County's only public higher education, and we serve an incredibly important role here in the county. So with that, I would say a few things on our enrollment. It's not horrible coming out of the pandemic. We are doing better than a number of many other community colleges in California. It is not where we would like it to be. And our enrollment is lower than what we have become accustomed to in terms of the size of the curriculum that we offer. This is also why during convocation, I spoke about a few different things happening. One being what we were calling at the time, the master schedule process, which is built into our strategic plan as one of the things we'll be working on. Now, through the feedback of the academic department chairs, who will tell you this is not a secret conversation because they've been talking about it now in every meeting and will continue again in their monthly meetings. Thanks to the department chairs, we're now talking about it as a student-centered scheduling initiative. And this really means that we want to make sure that we're optimizing what we offer, when we offer it, in what frequency, and in combination with all of the moving pieces of the curriculum for both transfer as well as local degrees and certificates, doing all of that work in a way that makes it easier for students to be enrolled, to take as many units as they can, and to be successful in those as they move forward. That is one concrete thing we can do in the short term to ensure that we're getting as much enrollment in as possible. If we have a mix of classes that doesn't work for students, if we've got wait lists in some areas and we have no demand in another, these are things that get us further away from being the well-oiled machine we need to be to ensure that we have enrollment or take advantage of the enrollment that is out there for us to get. And so that's also happening in other contexts. So the system is asking us to really think about the way in which we look at our general education. And this is coming in a variety of forms because the CSUs and the UCs have implemented ethnic studies requirements. We now have to offer things that align with those requirements. The IGETC and CSU patterns are changing. We're going to have to realign our curriculum to make sure that we're meeting those needs and expectations so students can see College of Marin as, if not just a viable, but perhaps the best way for them to have a guaranteed admission into a UC or CSU, regardless of whether they're coming directly out of high school or coming back to education after being out in the workforce. So these are some concrete things that are happening right now, bigger discussions that we will be talking about and have been talking about. And as I said, the department chairs have been meeting about these regularly. They're going back to departments to have those discussions. The conversation will continue throughout this academic year with the idea that we're setting ourselves up well for the future to have a curriculum that really is student-centered when it comes to the way in which we offer courses. Now, another piece that we're working on as well, and I met yesterday with Julian Solis, who is our new director of school and community partnerships, who's taking over for Anna Pillaton, who retired in June. And most of you know Julian from his work as an outreach coordinator, but we've been talking about ways to better engage faculty and others on campus out into the community. K-12, predominantly in our high school partners, but also in other areas and in other sectors and with industry. How can we better engage faculty in the conversations with families, with students, to help ensure that people see College of Marin for all that we do offer? And so there'll be more coming in the next few weeks and months on that in terms of opportunities for people to plug into and be a part of those efforts. So I can't here give you all the details on everything else that is happening. Just know this, that these conversations are not happening in private. They're not happening quietly. They will increasingly be part of what we talk about on a regular basis. And so with that, the best way I can level with everyone is to say, we're heading in the right direction in that we've stopped the enrollment bleeding that the pandemic really caused. We're starting to build back, and it will be up to all of us to participate in a variety of different ways to make sure that the decisions we're making and the courses we're offering and when we're offering them and all of those related things do everything within our power to address what is a larger demographic issue, which is realistically a limited pool, whether you're talking about directly out of high school or you're talking about returning adults, which are more subject to the current status of the economy in relation to what we're doing. The last thing I will say is, though, that we're also being innovative on that front, and kudos to Ron Palmer and Alina Verona and a number of other folks in the career ed realm for working out a great partnership with Golden Gate Transit to create apprenticeship opportunities there. Similarly, conversations with Marin Fire and Chief Jason Weber about opportunities, and you may have read about the Fire Foundry program. There are some things we can be doing to generate additional enrollment in particular areas. And those folks in those programs then also have other interests that bleed over into other parts of the curriculum. So working to try to leverage all of those in as many ways as possible. A lot more to come on this in our participatory governance structures and beyond, but hopefully that gives a better sense of where we are and where we're trying to head in terms of taking charge of our enrollment as much as we can.
Dr. Eldridge, thank you very much. You recently provided the board a very comprehensive report on enrollment, and I would love to make sure that report's about an hour and 10 minutes. And then you did a condensed version at the convocation we had, but hopefully we've made that available publicly.
Yes, that is, we can republish that link, but
do.
I recorded about a 50-minute version, so I was able to get it a little faster than at the board meeting, but a 50-minute more comprehensive version on enrollment that was the detail behind what was shared in the 10-minute or 12-minute convocation presentation. So that link is on the website, but we can publish that or make that available again.
Terrific, thank you. The next question that was posed was, following the 2021 Board Policy 6375 ordinance on single-use plastics, how will COM plan to reduce plastic consumption on campus this year? Great question. And I will say that I'll just give you the points. I've actually had the policy here, board policy here. It talks about eliminating plastic straws and cutlery, eliminating single-use plastic carryout bags, eliminate all styrofoam, eliminate single-use plastic beverage bottles upon contract, and so forth. So we've already started working. We started working right away with our vendors, the folks that put the refreshments in our vending machines, the folks at the cafeteria, the folks at the bookstore. We've purchased, for instance, you probably, if you've come to a larger group event lately, you'll notice that we're serving water in a can as opposed to an aluminum can as opposed to plastic bottle. So we're making progress already. There's still work to be done. In some cases, when you have a large quantity of things in storage and so you've got to use it down, we're not interested in being wasteful. But I'm quite confident that we will exceed the 25% reduction target that's been established for December 31st, 2023. So, and I invite you, if you see other areas of campus where we may have not thought about where there's single-use plastic, please let us know. The whole idea about this is to, keep things out of our landfills and so forth. And there's other products that we can buy to ensure that we're moving in that right direction. So I understand that the chat is down, but the Q&A is open apparently, and we have time for a couple more questions. And if there's a question that somebody had, and while we're waiting for questions, I'm going to put Sadiqa on the spot to say, is there anything you want to report from the students today?
Hello, everyone. I think it's just important to let folks know that ASCOM is full up and running. And as Dr. Kuhn said, there are events regularly happening. The posters are what's grabbing most students' attention, but we are really asking faculty to also put this up on their Canvas page, announce it in the classes. We want to get involvement back up and get our students really feeling like they are here and life is back on campus. We are also now newly located in Student Services 254. So ASCOM has a new location. So for anyone who's been looking for us, please don't go to the old location, but come to our new location. And we also have a lot of clubs that are starting up this semester. So feel free to come on by or send students our way and we'll get them connected. Thank you, Dr. Kuhn.
Thank you so much. Best way to get connected to the college and other people is get involved in a committee or a club or some different kind of activity. Congratulations on having a full slate of officers.
Yes,
And
and they're a great board. Thank
that's
you.
great. Absolutely. Thank you. I'm not seeing any other questions, and we're not going to just hang out just to hang out. But I do want to say to the students this, you know, as I said earlier, we are committed to your success, and we do a lot of pretty amazing things around here. The one thing we don't do well is read minds. So I encourage you, if you have a question, a concern, don't just keep it in, ask somebody. We're all here. It doesn't matter who we are that work at the college, whatever our position is, we're all really good at listening and getting you to the right place if we don't have the answers. And we are truly, truly committed to that. So please let us know how we can further support you. Jonathan, any last wisdom for us? Or in our other General Counsel Robert Shaw, Executive Director Harris, anything you want to add to the fun? Not to put you on the spot, but
No, I said enough.
okay. Okay,
Just good to see everybody back.
terrific. Thank you both for being here. Hey, it's been fun. We look forward to our next time together. I want to thank Mickey and Nicole for providing backup here today to make this possible. Again, big shout out to the folks in the cafeteria and everybody else that's joined us today. We had 72 participants. I'm assuming but there were a large group of screening rooms, right? Or something like that. So have a great day, everybody. We'll see you the next time. Bye-bye.